Всем добрый вечер. Меня зовут Евгения Пешкова, вице-президент TSR Corporation. Я хотела вас всех поблагодарить за то, что вы пришли сегодня. Это наш третий блокчейн-митап. Мы очень этому рады. Мы собираемся продолжать развивать митапы и делать другие темы, включая встроенные системы, прикладные приложения, искусственное artificial intelligence, легче по-английски. И наш гол, чтобы создать вот эти митапы, был для того, чтобы предоставить средства и место, где профессионалы в Воронеже могут обмениваться знаниями, учиться друг от друга и дать им средства для коммуникации друг с другом. Вот, поэтому мы начали эту инициативу. Сегодня у нас гость-спикер Хауард Ки, которого хочу представить. Хауард является президентом CA Engineering компании США. Он также менеджер компании BitRange. Это сотрудничество между DSR и CA Engineering компанией, которую мы создали вместе. Также он является одним из директоров советов для Sphera, про которую он будет сегодня рассказывать. И его рассказ конкретно о практическом применении блокчейна, один из примеров на вот этой компании. Всем спасибо. Теперь слово Хауарду.
Добрый вечер. Меня зовут Howard. And unfortunately, that's the extent of my Russian. So I hope that I'm confident that regardless of your skill in English, your English is infinitely better than my Russian. So we will talk in English and give you a chance to listen in English. As Jeannie said, one of the opportunities that I've had is to serve as a member of the board of directors of Sphera. Sphera was started by a very good friend of mine in Utah, in the United States, and he asked that I help him with a couple of things, and I help him on the board of directors. Sphera originally started out by designing a system that was intended to help independent contractors. Jeannie indicated that there might be a couple of people here tonight that are independent contractors, people who work on their own, find opportunities to do development work for companies and then do that. My friend looked at the tools that were available for independent contractors and thought that would be it would be a good opportunity to develop a platform that would help independent contractors organize and deliver on projects that they create. So he started, they created a system that they call Sphera Pro. Sphera Pro is intended, and this will get, I promise this will get to blockchain in a minute, but just providing a little bit of foundation so that what I say about blockchain makes sense. So Sphera Pro is a tool that is designed to help you organize your team, projects, and tasks, to track time, and then from that time create invoices, and then receive payments and generate reports. That is the way the system was designed to operate. And they knew that one of the most important parts of the system would be to create a great tool to allow invoices to be sent and make it very easy for payments to be received. So that was really the central idea around which this system was created. But they knew that in order to attract people to use the system, to use the product, they would need to create some of these other tools. So on on managing your projects, there are tools to set dates, to have a whole, all of the projects that you're working on, to have a dashboard that sets those up to allow you to organize your team, put members together, and then track project progress, as you can see by the bars here. And then as you create the project, then it allows you to dive in and define tasks. And define a task for a project, and then within that task, allow you to track the time you spend, because as independent contractors, have you all, who here has worked as an independent contractor before? Nobody? Okay, you have, all right. Well, the thing about it is you put time in and that's how you get paid, that's how you make your money. And so tracking time against tasks that's where the money is going to come from. That's, for the independent contractor, that's the most important thing leading up to creating an invoice. So the system allows you to track time against tasks, add subtasks, track due dates, set priorities, etc., etc. And then allows you to manage the team. And then this is where it gets interesting. It will take the time that you put into it and then automatically generate an invoice that, if you set it up properly, will then send the invoice to the person that you did the work for and invite them to pay you. And now is where we start diving into blockchain a little bit, because one of the things that they thought would be most interesting is to ensure that the payment system that they create would make it easy to accept debit or credit cards, ACH payments. Do you know what ACH payments are? This is in the United States, it is Automated Clearinghouse, which is a bank to a bank payment. So it's not a credit card, it's an electronic payment that just goes from one bank to your account. And so it's an efficient way to receive payment. But they thought, given today's environment, we need to have the ability for payments to be requested and paid in cryptocurrency. So they knew the blockchain and the cryptocurrency landscape would now be very, very important for them to integrate into this system. So we started working in getting a cryptocurrency functionality built into this. The credit card and the debit card and the ACH were all very easy, mainly because for a long period of time, businesses have been dealing with setting up and servicing credit card and debit card and electronic payments. The cryptocurrency side of it proved to be a huge challenge, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. But at this point, once you say, I'm going to create an invoice, then the person who receives the invoice can make the payment. And anyway, I'll get into the payment just a little bit more. But to finish the explanation of the overall system, the system allows you to do some customization, do it in any one of a number of different languages, and you'll notice that Russian is not one of them. I will tell him that that is a gross oversight. Oh, it is there. Oh, you're right. Okay, so supports Russian. Better than I do, apparently. And then there are some other things that we don't need to worry about that. One of the things that they wanted to ensure is that they addressed AML and KYC. Does anyone know what AML and KYC is? Again, do you? Okay, tell us.
So KYC is some policy about know your customer, and you need to store some. I don't know exactly what you mean, because some governments have different regulation about KYC and AML. Yeah.
Do you know what AML is?
Not sure.
Anyone know what AML is? Yes.
That's probably anti-money laundering.
That is right. You get a free cookie. Anti-money laundering and know your customer, very important regulations in the United States, and most countries have similar regulations that they require. It's due diligence that is required as you set up an account to receive and make payments, so that you know who you're dealing with, and you are relatively certain that they are not setting up these accounts to launder money, meaning to make it difficult for a government agency or person to track where the money is coming from. That's money laundering in the United States. So they wanted to make sure that those things, this was set up in a way that made that easy to happen. So here is the way the cryptocurrency system works in the Spera system. When you set up the account, it will ask you, it will give you the option, do you want to receive or give your customers the option of paying in a cryptocurrency? And if you say yes, the system will generate this screen and say, I need you now to put in the public address of the cryptocurrency account that you want to use for payment to be received. And once you do that, then the system generates this QR code. And now that QR code is associated with your wallet. And then, when you say, I've completed a set of tasks, I am now ready to bill my client. So you hit create an invoice on this screen, and this is the invoice that is created. The system will take the time that you had entered, generate this invoice, put your QR code in there, and then the system goes out and says, okay, at this point in time, this amount of money, 198, is equal to 0.05560,801 satoshis. And it will print that on your invoice so that whoever receives it has two choices. They can either scan the QR code, and that will take them, if they are set up right, it will take them to an option to say, with this QR code, I need this much. Well, it actually doesn't. It just says, here is where the payment needs to go. And it will then let them decide, do I want to use Bitcoin? Do I want to use Ethereum? What do I want to use to make this payment? And they will enter the amount and the payment goes. Or they can not use the QR code, they can simply enter the wallet address, and this tells them then the amount they need to enter in order to make that payment. Then they hit pay, and this is now a representation of the view of the person who made the payment. Your Bitcoin was sent, this is where it went, this is how much it went, and then on the, I took that off, but on the Spera system, then you received notice of the Bitcoin having been received. So once it got completed, it was a very efficient way for someone to say, I want to get paid in cryptocurrency, here is how much I need to get paid, and to track receipt of payment. There were a number of reasons, there are a number of compelling reasons for cryptocurrency to be used in these settings. Probably the most important of which is a comparison of the cost of the transaction. So this spreadsheet shows a traditional costs associated with making a payment. And by traditional, we are talking now about credit card payments, a standard credit card transaction. So when you set up a credit card account, you have a merchant. The merchant is the one who is asking for payment to be made to them. And there is a bank and a credit card system. The biggest in the world credit card systems are Visa and MasterCard. Visa and MasterCard and the banks that are involved will impose a fee for each credit card transaction they process. Here is the fee. Kind of standard fees are 2.9% of the amount being paid, plus a flat fee of 25 cents, it's actually 30 cents, per transaction, and then an additional 3 to 5% if you are going from one currency to another currency. So if I buy something here with my credit card in rubles, then I'm paying 2.9% plus an additional 3 to 5% for that to be converted from rubles into US dollars. So on a $500 transaction, the person who is receiving the money, the merchant, ends up paying $14.75. I should have converted these to rubles, but in any event, that's how much you end up paying. On a $1,000 transaction, obviously, it is considerably more. And the merchant, the people who are receiving these payments, hate to pay these fees. It's taking this amount of money out of each $500 transaction out of their pocket and putting it into the pockets of the banks and the card associations that are processing the transaction. For the consumer, it's free for the most part. Sometimes international fees, again, will apply, but for me as the consumer, I don't pay anything to use a credit card. The merchant, the person who is getting the payment, pays that full amount. And another way of making a payment is a wire transfer, which are considerably more expensive actually, depending on where you go. So that is the status of the world for most payments today. When you compare that with a cryptocurrency transaction, a lot of people who want to receive payments say this is a much better deal, because on a $500 transaction, rather than paying $14.49, whatever it was, it's only 12 cents per transaction. And actually that is paid not by the guy receiving the money, but by the guy sending the money. So it's a much better deal for the guy who wants to get paid to go with cryptocurrency. And again, it is one of the compelling reasons why blockchain and blockchain transactions and cryptocurrency has gotten so much interest because of the promise of substantially reducing the transaction fee for each transaction that goes through the blockchain, goes through the public ledger. So that was the background. This is kind of the way it was set up. So Spera creates a relationship with its customers. In order to process the standard credit card transactions, it created a relationship with a company called ProPay that does credit and debit general transaction processing. That's what they specialized in. They are a company that was built around helping people set up to do credit and debit transactions. They needed a relationship with a bank, and so ProPay has a relationship with Wells Fargo, who does all of the banking for the transaction processing, and ProPay handles that on behalf of Spera. For the blockchain, ProPay does not do cryptocurrency. So we had to create a relationship with a different company, and in this instance, the company that we were able to create a relationship was a company by the name of Bitsy. That relationship was incredibly painful. It took months and months and months, and a long time. And Bitsy was actually the 4th cryptocurrency company that Spera tried to create a relationship in order to provide the cryptocurrency function that they wanted to integrate into their system. So what I am here to tell you tonight is that from the standpoint of a company that wants to use the blockchain, your opportunity as developers, your opportunity as people who are interested in helping this system go, is right there. It is creating an interface between somebody who knows what they are doing with the blockchain and somebody who doesn't want to learn how to do that, doesn't want to create their own system, but wants to use that service. That's where the opportunity is for to attract companies like Spera. That was absolutely off the charts difficult. And at Spera we were saying, why is this so tough? And we didn't have an answer. We did not, it didn't make sense to us. But for whatever reason, Bitsy and 4 other cryptocurrency companies that we talked to, none of them had developed their system in a way that allowed for easy integration into and use by a company like Spera. So as you go out and change the blockchain world, as a representative of Spera, I plead with you, consider that relationship as you develop your system. Because there will be companies like Spera, many, 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 many companies, who will think of ways to use your blockchain services that you won't have thought about. You will not have considered every single use case for the blockchain functionality that you are creating. And if you make it easy to integrate into another system that can be used by somebody else, you will have people beating down your doors. People will want to use that. I know that at DSR, one of the things that they are they are looking at is helping. I think DSR is actually on both sides of this, of that relationship, helping not only people develop blockchain functionality, but helping others integrate that and figure out ways to use that. This is, in my opinion, where there is a lot of opportunity if it is done right. And if you can make it easy for people to use that functionality, you will always have people asking for that to be done. So that's pretty much my presentation. Hopefully that was of use to you blockchain developers. I'm certainly happy to answer questions if you have any. Yes?
Do you use any, or provides any proof of payment? Because usually when you pay with Visa, you can provide some kind of check to both parties, the payment was.
So the question was, is proof of payment provided? And the answer is yes. So the integration that we were able to create between Bitsy and Spera does provide that, and then the Spera system, the Spera dashboard, and again I should have included one more picture that shows proof of payment having been received, and so there's another screen that says here are the balances in the accounts that you have associated with your Spera account, and you can use that to track. But this requires that you create a cryptocurrency account, a wallet, with Bitsy, and then you can tie it to this system. So as a guinea pig for that, I did that, and I got a payment, and so you can independently, if I pull up my Bitsy app here, you can independently verify that payment has been received, and but you can also get it through the system. So this was a $200 payment. It is now worth $162. That's one of the other problems with using cryptocurrency right now. People are looking at it more as an investment vehicle than they are a medium of exchange, a way to exchange value. That's also another impediment, but that's a topic for another day. Hopefully that answered your question. Okay? Did you?
Excuse me. What technologies of quality assurance do you use in your company, and what special types and differentiation with, for example, booking system and so on in your business?
So, did everyone hear? The question was, I'm assuming from a developer standpoint, from a development standpoint, or from a transaction standpoint?
Yes, I mean, I want to ask you about methods of quality assurance of your QA engineers.
Okay. I wish I could answer that question. I was not involved in the development of the platform, so I apologize. I know DSR has incredible quality assurance methods, and any one of the DSR guys would be happy to answer that from what they do, but I unfortunately cannot answer that for Spera. Sorry.
So, do I get it right that to make these payments work, both users create their accounts with Bitsy, and then Bitsy tracks those accounts and their balance, and it's like a centralized server at their end?
So actually, both parties do not need to create an account with Bitsy. This system contemplates that the payment will have a Bitsy account, but the sender, the payer, can use any cryptocurrency wallet they want. They just enter the Bitsy public address of this guy's account, and that's where the money goes to.
Okay. Another question is, you mentioned KYC and AML,
Yes.
and I'm not even sure if, does US government allow payments in Bitcoin?
Yes.
Do they allow that? Okay, and how that is insured in this picture? Is Bitsy responsible for that?
Yes. So the part of the relationship here was to ensure that Bitsy covered compliance for this. Spera, in this instance, was just a pass-through of that. And so the relationship with ProPay, for example, ProPay ensures that all of the regulations associated with making credit card or debit card payments and all of the Visa and MasterCard regulations are met. Bitsy, in this instance, covers everything associated with that relative to cryptocurrency.
Okay.
But do you provide any information about identity of both parties of Bitsy? Or only...
Yes, so going the other way, Bitsy said, in order to allow me to comply, here is the set of information that you need to give me about this guy so that I can create his account in a manner that allows me, Bitsy, to comply with AML and KYC.
And so does Bitsy disclose that information to player?
I'm not sure that it's required.
Disclosing information about the creation of this guy's account to who pays is not required.
Yeah, because Bitcoin uses pseudonyms identifiers for receiving and getting money. It means that if Bitsy knows identity of guy, he knows all history of his transaction using the same pseudonyms. Sure, you can use one-time key pair for this, but I believe anyway you can track a lot, and it can provide much more information to Bitsy that is required to comply AML and KYC. Can be a problem, I believe,
So
for some customers at least.
perhaps, yes.
I'm okay that I can share my identity and attach it to one transaction for organization to perform this transaction. But I don't want to share all my transaction history with this organization.
Right. And this is intended, this is set up as a single transaction at a time.
Okay.
Yes.
Have you any special KYC cases, or Spera does all the identity verification?
So
Like interaction maybe with banks, or just you ask people for some identity cards?
So
Identity proof.
yeah, and so Bitsy said, get me these things, and then Bitsy is responsible for ensuring that they all line up. So Spera's role in this is just to gather information provided by the customer and then hand it to Bitsy, and Bitsy does all of the evaluation of that. And if they say, this isn't good enough, then they won't create the account. But that is a Bitsy assumed obligation.
Okay, thanks. Probably that's going to be an interesting case when probably some interaction with banks would
Yes, and that actually is a very strong use case for another blockchain-related application. verification of identity. And there are a number of companies that I understand are working on creating something that is done through the blockchain that will immediately and irrefutably prove who you are and allow you to meet the KYC and the AML regulations. But again, that's a topic for another day
Thanks.
and by somebody else who knows what they're talking about. Any other questions?
What about GDPR?
So this is only United States, and they have not figured out what to do for GDPR yet. But
Seems this solution will not be compatible with GDPR at all.
and that is understood, and understanding that that is a limitation, staying out of the EU. Yep. Thank you.